Thank you, Senator Lyons. Senator Canavan.
Thank you, Mr President. Well, I'm not from Western Australia, Mr President, but I think to those West Australians that may listen or read the events of tonight and the events particularly of Senator Lyons' contribution just there, have just witnessed a complete policy-free zone. 10 minutes completely absent of any policies or any alternative plan from the Labor Party. Nothing at all to offer the Australian people and nothing at all to offer the people of Canning who are deciding this weekend who will represent them. And you would think, and I'm not from the Western West, I'm not trying to presume what they would think, but I reckon most people around this country like to hear from politicians who have a plan and a vision and something to say about how they see Australia's future going. And we don't resolve from one second, the choices that this government has made in government to make this place a stronger place, to repair the damage that has been done to our budget and to remove some taxes that were particularly hurting Australian businesses and the bills and cost of living for Australian consumers. Those are decisions we are proud of. Those are decisions that we have made to make Australia a stronger place, a better place, a recovering place from the 6 years of mismanagement and particularly loss of control of our nation's budget that they suffered under the Labor government. Now we are starting to rebuild and we are proud of that. But what I'm proud of more importantly, is the plans and vision we have for the future, Mr President, which we heard nothing about in the contribution from Senator Lyons there earlier. What I am proud is that this government has a plan to back the wealth-producing industries of our nation. We have a plan to grow agriculture in our nation, a multi-billion-dollar white paper to help grow agriculture in our nation, to build new dams, to go to the frontiers of our nation and build something that Australian people will be proud of generations from today, because we have a great opportunity here in Australia, Mr President, a great opportunity to supply the growing demands and needs, particularly of our Asian neighbours to our north, with products that we specialise in and can do. But we need to have a government that's going to back Australians who want to do things, and we have a government right now who are willing to do that. We're willing to do that by investing $100 million in beef roads in our north, an investment that would not have been done since the 1960s, since the Menzies government first built many of those roads that I'm sure Senator Scullion has driven many long hours on in his time. Another $400 million for roads across the north to help connect our particularly beef industry, but other industries that are emerging across the north. $500 million to build dams in this country, to finally get over the 30 years of dam phobia in this country and build things that can store water, because if you store water, you store wealth, and you store wealth to grow food and other products going forward. We need to build new dams in this country if we want to grow our nation and see us prosper into the future, and we have a vision to do that as a coalition government. We have a vision for the north more generally, a vision for the north to go to the areas of our country which are not developed, not as developed as they could be. Again, enormous opportunities, deep water ports in Weipa, in Darwin, that can be expanded. Closer proximity to Asia. Our problem as a country has always been our distance. We've been far from markets, far from Europe, far from the United States, and it's been tough and difficult for our economy to integrate into the world, given the vast distances in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. But now, Mr President, we have an opportunity where we're proximate to the main epicentre of economic growth in our future, and I am proud that we have a policy to help take and capture that opportunity by investing in our north. Investing in our north by unlocking the huge potential that exists, particularly for our first Australians who are land-rich but cash-poor and opportunity denied at the moment, given the way native title has been locked up and locks up economic opportunity. And I, Mr President, want to pay tribute to the man sitting in front of me here, Senator Scullion, Minister for Indigenous Affairs, that gets down and sits in the dirt with our first Australians and understands what they want and what they want to achieve, and primarily what they want to achieve is economic opportunity, just like all of us are lucky enough here in this place to have benefited from. They have many assets, our first Australians now, particularly thankful to the Native Title Act and the property rights that they have, but they are denied the opportunity to exploit those assets at the moment, given the legalese and disputes that any development initiative gets bogged down in. So we have, Mr President, provided more than $100 million to help unlock the opportunity that exists in native title, in land held by traditional owners, by helping to complete the native title claims that exist in the north, hopefully within a decade. A great initiative by Senator Scully. And we're also investing in a tropical medical research centre at James Cook University at Townsville, again to capture and build on the benefits we have in Northern Australia and help build Northern Australia. Mr President, we are not only building infrastructure in the north, though. We have a plan for building more than $50 billion in infrastructure all around Australia, including the Second Range Crossing, where I used to live in Toowoomba, a great opportunity to connect Western Queensland to the growing markets of Asia, the M7 East in Sydney, M4 East in Sydney. We did have a plan for a highway in Melbourne, East West Link Road in Melbourne. Unfortunately, the new state government ripped up contracts with private suppliers who were going to provide that road, but we were working with the Victorian government to get new infrastructure in place to build our nation, create jobs and take the great economic opportunity that we have in this nation. They are our plans. They are our plans. They are our plans for the Australian people, and we have been talking about them for some time. And Senator Lyons had 10 minutes here in this place to outline an alternative plan, an alternative vision for our nation, and failed miserably. Spent none of that time doing that, none of that time for the people of Canning outlining that. Instead, resorted to the politics of personal attack and division, and that's not what I think the Australian people want. They want to see a vision for our future, and we are delivering that. Now, there are some policies, I should say. I should be fair to the Labor Party. I should be fairer than I have been in my first 6.5 minutes, because they do have some policies. They do have some, Mr President. But Senator Lyons didn't mention them tonight, and I don't think she mentioned them because she's a little bit embarrassed about them. She's a little bit embarrassed about them. They have announced some policies this year. This year was going to be the year of ideas for the Leader of the Opposition, and he has had a few ideas. He's had ideas for 3 new taxes. 3 new taxes already, Mr President. He's had a superannuation tax, a carbon tax and a renewable energy tax to boot as well, to push up power prices for Australian households and to pit Australian taxpayers and savers with a new tax on their superannuation. Well, that's not our approach. That's not my approach as a member of the Nationals Party and a proud member of the Coalition. We don't believe higher taxes is the way to grow our country, to unlock the opportunities we all have and to all reach as individuals the potential we have. We believe in rewarding hard work, rewarding hard effort and not punishing people through higher taxes through our economy. Now, the other policy I think Senator Lyons might have been a little bit embarrassed about. I read in about the paper today that they do have a policy for the people of Canning. There is one policy they're putting forward to the people of Canning, and it's a car park. It's a car park, Mr President. And maybe, Mr President, the people of Canning need that car park. I don't live there. But that is their alternative vision for our nation, a car park. Not a dam, not a road, not a highway, not a new port, not opening up not a coal mine, not a coal mine. Thank you, Senator Lyons. We also believe in them too. They produce plenty of jobs, and certainly I think Western Australia realise how important mining is for their economy. Not a coal mine, certainly not a car park. A car park. And while car parks are very important, I'm sure the Greens, through you, Mr Acting President, I'm sure Senator Rhiannon's not a supporter of car parks. Although, albeit I think this one's at a train station, but I still don't think she'd support that. Maybe a bike rack might be more Senator Rhiannon's turn to go, but nonetheless, that is their vision. That is their nation-building vision for our country, a car park. A car park and maybe some bike racks at the same time. Well, I don't think that's enough for the Australian people. I think they crave something a little more deeper and stronger and more visionary than that. I think that the Coalition government has those policies in place with its various white papers on agriculture, its support for our mining industry, its support for the industries that create so much for our nation, that create the jobs that all of us rely on and the jobs that will be created for our young Australians to help solve one of the biggest problems in our nation, that is youth unemployment. So those are the things I think the people of Canning will be keeping in their mind this Saturday, and they are the alternative visions between a government that wants to grow our country, support people that are willing to have a go, back hard-working Australians and keep a strong and secure Australia. Thank you, Mr President.